All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Inside In Tennis Podcast. Mitch Michals here, all part of the Believe Network, and as you know, available on all your podcast platforms and on YouTube at the channel Mitch Michals. We are into late September, making that final push. We got a football fan on the show, so we're putting our fours up here for the final push of the season. But Mark Knowles, former doubles #1, coach at Jessica Pegula, commentator for Tennis Channel. Welcome back to the show, Mark. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you.
Always great to be on, Mitch. Appreciate you having me back.
Yeah, I wanted to ask this too, because we've chatted at different times of the year, post US Open I mentioned, but it's a time to kind of, make that final push for the season for a lot of players. And I've always thought this too, and you could elaborate on it. Like, it seems like it's a time for reflection. Like, you have time after the US Open when you put your head down essentially from clay season through the US Open and play 3 majors. Is it a time to really take a step back and reflect on what you did right and what you did wrong all season?
Yeah, it's always a complicated part of the season, right?
Yeah.
Heading into Asia and Europe as well. End of the season, kind of the final push, right? I think it's important. I think all players kind of have a different outlook, different perspective as they go into the fall. Obviously, Grand Slam play has concluded. You either achieved your goals or fallen short. Some players, their attention shifts to making the World Tour finals. Others, maybe, hey, what can I maybe add to my game? What can I do to maybe be a better player going into 26, maybe
Mm,
use, the fall as a springboard to kind of not necessarily experiment, but just kind of maybe implement
yeah.
different things. But the biggest challenge is obviously mentally, right? You hope that
Yeah.
your body's held up physically, but mentally it's been a long year, probably filled with some ups and downs. So I think you got to kind of trick your mind a little bit when you head into the fall. I remember when I used to play, I used to kind of just make it as like a bonus season. Like, hey, let me see what kind of results I can get in the fall because everybody's
Yeah.
tapped out.
Yeah, take the pressure off, and it's all gravy at that point. You had the line last time we talked where it's like, I didn't realize it, but it makes sense. All the fines kind of go up this time of year. This is when people are at their wits end. This is when people are kind of getting
This
that
is
extra fine.
this is tapioca time.
Yeah, yeah, we've seen it. I mean, we've unfortunately seen some players that decide to shut it down, which we understand. And you guys, your team, Jesse Pegula's team, you and Mark Klein, coming off of another U.S. Open run. It is hard to believe, right? Like, there's some continuity developing, but it seems like you've been coaching her for a while, but it's only been a little over a year. Does it seem like it's kind of just racing by?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, obviously, kind of picking up,
Yeah,
started March last year.
yeah,
Obviously had a terrific year. A lot of injuries last year, actually. Touch wood, Jess has been relatively healthy this year.
mhm,
As you mentioned, a couple of big results. Obviously, another great run at the Open this year. But it's been really fun. It's been exciting. Yeah, I think generally it's probably flown by. I mean,
mhm.
even Jess was saying this year when we got to New York, she's like, "Wow, that year went really fast."
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have to also, celebrate the victories. The grass court title had to be pretty cool on the court, beating Iga Swiatek, obviously, which no one could do the following tournament on grass. But, anytime you get a chance to win a title with a player, I'm sure it's just a special feeling.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially having played, you know how hard it is to win tournaments. I mean, there are a lot of
Mhm,
great players that only have, very few titles. It's really
mhm,
hard. Everything has to come together in a week. You got to beat a lot of great players. So I've always felt alongside Mark Merklin that, hey, if we're lucky enough, fortunate enough, and Jess wins a tournament, I don't care if it's a 250, I don't care if it's a Grand Slam, we're
mhm.
going to always take a moment to kind of celebrate and understand the achievement. And I think Jess has done a great job of that. And part of this year, right? She started
Mhm.
off the year with a final right away, and lost in that final to Madison Keys, obviously, but then won her first title in Austin. And
Mhm.
although it was a 250, we
Yeah,
were hey, every tournament counts. I
yeah.
mean,
Uh-huh.
good friend of mine, Marty Fish, we used to always refer to it as Title Town, right? It's
Mhm.
hard to get to Title Town.
Mhm. Yeah, and you have to savor those moments because, as you said, very few titles are won by anybody, even the greats. This U.S. Open run leads to the semifinal. It seems, Mark, and I wanted to ask you, like, it seems special in a different way. It's remarkable in a different way because there wasn't the momentum coming in. Last year, it was the hard court season going well. She was riding high, Jessie was. This year, the momentum wasn't there, and yet she still figured a way there. Do you look at it a little differently? Like, maybe not her best tennis going in, but just remarkable that she was even able to turn it around?
Well, actually, Mitch, it was coaching strategy. We said, you know what,
That's what I
just don't
thought.
play well all summer. Like,
Yeah.
just kind of
Sandbag, like
play
on the
play
golf course. Yeah.
poor, have no confidence going in. No,
Yeah.
no. I mean, obviously, it was a totally different summer than it was last year. As you mentioned,
Yeah.
last year she was, coming in on an incredible high, extreme confidence. But I think, what really helped was actually the result at the Open last year. I think coming into New York, she knew, she knows the level that she can play at now. She knows how far she can go in Grand Slams, and the minute she got to New York, it was almost like, yeah, maybe one or two practice days where we kind of had to get through it. But you could almost tell that once the matches started first round, that she, you saw this confidence. You kind of felt the confidence that was oozing out of her. So, I think she does a good job as well. I mean, obviously, every player wants to go into big events with lots of confidence, but you do have to trick your mind every now and then. But I think she did a good job of kind of drawing on her experiences last year, and we saw it right from the start.
Yeah.
She played some really good tennis, and you could argue the final match she played was maybe the best match she's played all year.
It was. And before getting to that, I did want to highlight something else you said. I mean, that bump is real for these Americans that understand how to navigate New York and the moment. But you get a player that enjoys playing there, that can live for the moment like Jessie can, that can set you right back on track. We've seen it with American fans, and how the crowd embraced her was pretty obviously cool to see. But you get Americans playing their best, and it doesn't take a stranger or someone to understand why. Like, it just brings the best out of these Americans.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the atmosphere, obviously, being a native New Yorker, Jess is very popular, not just being an American, but being a New Yorker. And like I said, I think the run last year brought in even more fans to support Jess. And, we were very fortunate to this year. She played, I think she played every match on center court. So
Mm,
pretty cool when your home court is Arthur Ashe Stadium, where it's
yeah.
packed. I mean, as a former player, being in there with kind of the retractable roof, man, it's so nice in there. It's beautiful. I mean, I remember the days without the roof, and it gets swirly down there. It was kind of a tough court to play on for such a big stadium. But now with that enclosable roof, its conditions are almost flawless. It's beautiful in there.
It really was. And then that last match against Sabalenka, unfortunately not going your way, but it was high quality, like maybe the best match of the entire tournament. You talk about the third set, which, the serving numbers were outrageous, just 4 points lost on Jesse's entire serve. But in a match like that, I know hindsight's 2020. You want to win every match. There's going to be opportunities. No one plays a perfect match, but that really was just greatness on display. And as I've heard you say in other interviews, sometimes you just tip your cap to the other person on the other side of the net.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we all know the sport of tennis can be brutal. And I think that was really highlighted in that match. I mean, you have to give full credit to Irina. Obviously, she was able to come through on the big points, especially in that final set. I think all four break points, she hit first ball winners, which is kind of insane. I don't think
Mm,
I've ever seen Federer do that. I don't ever think I've seen Serena, Djokovic, the all-time greats. So, you almost feel victimized to a point, but you also have to say, you have to tip your cap, as I mentioned. I mean, it's frustrating. I think that Jess played a terrific match. She deserved to win, but
mhm.
sports, you
Yeah,
can't write your own script. I mean, that's why we love sports, right? The
yeah,
person who, not that Irina deserved to lose, but it
right.
almost felt like Jess deserved to win
Yeah.
a little bit more. But, at the end of the day, she didn't win the match, but I think she won a lot.
Mhm.
Inside, her
Yeah.
mentality, what she did, how she was able to really execute. And, like you said, she won 16 consecutive points on serve to close out the match, which is, she won more points in the final set. She,
Mhm.
higher winning percentage on first serve, higher winning percentage on second serve.
Yeah.
I mean, all numbers going against a big server like Zabalenka. If you just isolated the stats from the final set, you would surely say that Jess won it, but she didn't. And actually recently we just had 2 days ago, right? Iga won another title over Alexandrova, and Alexandrova I think won 11 more points. So
Yeah.
that's the brutality of tennis. I mean, there's
Yeah.
no, I don't know any other sport. You can't
Yeah.
score less points in a football game or a basketball game and win.
No.
So it's just it's unfortunate, but it'll definitely, it's something that will eat at you for sure. But when you kind of step back and look at it, and immediately after the match, Mark, myself, and the entire team, we just really applauded Jess. I mean,
Hmm.
she did everything we asked her to do. She played terrific. She competed well. She brought the crowd in, showed great
Yeah.
energy. So from a coaching standpoint, you have a list, you have a checkbox list,
Mhm.
and she checked all the boxes. So that's when it doesn't, as a coach, you don't
Yeah.
really care that much about winning and losing.
Yeah, we got to do something about the scoring system. Right? It's just too much. But I saw the other stat too after the U.S. Open men's final. It's Alcaraz is 10-5 against Sinner. I think he's won like 5 or 6 more points
Yeah,
total. I mean,
it's the
it's a
margins are
yeah.
crazy thin.
It's one thing too, it's a couple different tough losses and it's all the same person. Like Sabalenka is #1 in the world. So it's not like you're losing to just anybody or any great player. It's the greatest player right now in the sport. But it does seem to, and everyone laughed and we all got a chuckle out of the drink afterwards where that's how you drown your sorrows, which is exactly what I would be doing. But it does seem like the team, Jesse at the forefront, but your coaches as well, you and Mark, like you guys are able to get over losses quickly, put things into perspective, and not let it dwell. Where in a sport like this, that could be catastrophic. And we've seen tales of players that have losses eat at them, affect them, and jeopardize their season. So it does seem like that putting losses in the rear view is something you guys excel at as well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think understanding the nature of tennis, I mean, you hear me say it so often. I mean, I didn't play at as high a level as Jess did in singles, but obviously competed at a very high level. And, I think I played 13 or 14 Grand Slam finals, and I lost more than I won. And I remember those moments like you are so down, you don't think the sun's going to come up the next day. I mean, that's the reality. So, I think we do a good job of being real with the situation, but also
Yeah.
giving her perspective. And that's what I at least try to bring to the team as well from that angle is that, hey, listen, I know it seems like it's everything right now,
Yeah.
but it won't be. Trust me. I'm older now. I can reflect back.
Yeah.
I don't have as many sleepless nights, and those things aren't important to me anymore. And they're everything in the moment. That's the way it is. That's the way you are as a competitor. Jess is as competitive as anyone out there. I think it's something that maybe I didn't even realize how competitive she was from the outside before I started working with her, which is a great characteristic to have. But she's also very balanced. She does a good job of putting things in perspective, but she's like every competitor. She wants to win. I mean, the reality is there is nothing better than winning. That's reality.
Yeah.
But, at times you have to accept losing as well.
Yeah, well, we applaud you guys, the team, Jess, obviously, for getting to this point, and yeah, putting herself in the mix with the Grand Slam goal firmly in her sights. Well, getting onto the current things, Mark Knowles here on the Inside in Tennis podcast. We had the Laver Cup last weekend, and I did want to ask you about what we've seen. The eighth edition, Team World gets it done, third time in 4 years. But the first thing that always stands out when I watch it, and it bears repeating, Mark, is just I marvel at how much the players buy in and care because we've talked about exhibitions and where it is on the calendar and all different things. But when you just watch tennis, if you just turned on Tennis Channel and watched it, you just see players that are giving their all for this competition. And that's the coolest thing and the thing that stands out the most for me about the Laver Cup.
I think what was probably underestimated, unlike any other so-called exhibition, is that you've got a bunch of alpha males out there, right? So think about that. If you and your buddies, whatever you were doing, and you got them together, there's no chance you're ever doing half effort, right? Because you're wanting to impress your buddies, your peers, your colleagues, and you almost get that sense, right? Like, they're all the greatest players in the world, but nobody wants to let the other person down, and they all want to kind of go out there. There's a little bit of a mental game there, right? They
Yeah.
also want to go out and show, like, you know what? I'm this good, right? So
Yeah.
that maybe when they play them in a month, that's kind
Right.
of embedded in there, like, oh, geez, remember how Taylor Fritz decimated Carlos Alcaraz? Like,
Yeah.
whoa, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's probably the thing that's probably underestimated and that was tough to quantify is that you get a bunch of alphas out there and, they're the greatest players in the world. And then you put competition on the line.
Yeah.
Then I think, that's what you see with the Laver Cup, which they've done an excellent job with.
They certainly have. Yeah, you saw how much they care, right? Alcaraz turned the TV off. He didn't want to watch them celebrating. He's just like, that's it. I'm done with this. No,
And it's pretty cool when you got
yeah.
Steph Curry coming out, right? I mean, like,
Yeah.
wow.
Curry, Federer. It was good. I like the crossover appeal too. It was good to see Curry out there. We got to see if he plays tennis, though. I'm not sure. But no, and the doubles component too, Mark, which you can speak to. It's nice to see top players playing doubles for stakes and Seeing a little bit about their game too. It's also something you kind of learn out there, like who gels together, the teams, and who has game on that side. It's such a crucial part, and it was one of the main reasons Team World got it done.
Yeah, I mean the doubles is always interesting in the Laver Cup, right? In years past, it was kind of Jack Sock who was kind of the guy for
Yeah,
Team World, and now all of a sudden it looks like it's Alex Mickelson. He was called into
mm,
duty for three doubles matches
yeah,
and showed off some incredible hands. Alcaraz, man, boy, you could just watch him do anything. I mean, he's
yeah.
so entertaining. The way he plays the game, his demeanor. I mean, just it's so exciting. And I think also the scoring format's brilliant, right?
Hmm.
Each match worth one on day one, so not too much if you get in a deficit. Second day, 2 points, and then you're never out of it with the final day, each match
Yeah.
being worth 3 points, which I think is a really good scoring format.
No, I agree completely. Especially as we gear up in golf for the Ryder Cup, it's good to kind of get some team competition, get the juices going. The two players on Team World, Mark. I mean, you mentioned Taylor Fritz. He's going to leave here, leave the Laver Cup, having beaten the number one and number three players in the world in straight sets in Alcaraz and Zverev. He's had the hammer on Zverev, so that's more of the same. But for Alcaraz, I'm in the belief, and I think you are too. Anytime you can beat Alcaraz is a good day. So it doesn't matter where it is, what it is. Like this could be something, a confidence booster. So it's Fritz. And then Alex de Minaur was the other one that stood out. He was a beast all the way through. How he would save break points. It did the word fight just kept coming up to me with de Minaur.
Yeah, it was kind of strange to see Diminor competing so well and being so solid mentally. You just never see that from him.
Yeah, first time for
I mean,
everything, I guess.
yeah. No, I mean, Alex is
Uh,
exceptional, right? I mean, you
uh,
talk about, I'm sure if you're a captain, if you're, Captain Agassi, I mean, th those are the people you want in the trenches every day, all day. Alex is, he's going to give you 110%. He's going to compete so hard, regardless of the score line. Like you said, it was tough to pick an MVP. Diminor was incredible, but Taylor Fritz, to me, the match against Carlos, it'll be interesting, him and his coaching team, Paul Anacone and Michael Russell, what they extract from that.
right.
Because, we've all seen that Taylor is one of the best players in the world. He's been right there knocking on the doorstep, but we've all felt that he needed a little bit more transition game, a little bit more confidence moving forward against the big guys, right? You mentioned he's got a good record against Zverev, but his record against Alcaraz, Sinner, and Djokovic is subpar, right? And those are generally the people you're going to need to beat to win a major. So,
Yep.
I hope for Taylor, he'll look back in that match and see, I thought he defended out of the corners as well as I'd seen him defend,
Yeah.
which then allowed him to be offensive and finish at the net.
Hmm.
But he volleyed extremely well. So, I know if I was part of that coaching team, that's something I would extract and really focus on and for the rest of the year this year. I mean, and that's kind of what I'm saying, right? He's already Grand Slam place finish. He's got himself a spot in the World Tour Finals, got a couple tournaments in the fall.
Yeah.
That's where I would kind of take that play from that match specifically against Alcaraz and say, hey, how can we incorporate that this fall going into 26 so that we can win a major in 26?
Yeah, it's going to be a great opportunity for Fritz. Given this, he should be riding high, given what he did all over Cup weekend, highlighted by beating Alcaraz. Are you shocked as someone, Mark, who's known Andre Agassi longer than most, that this was the role that he kind of perfectly blended into? He was everyone's favorite captain. Everybody loved him. The energy was enthusiastic. And you could tell he relished the role of being the captain. Basically said, any of you guys can call me at any point and I'll do whatever you need. So he obviously loved it. Does it shock you that he blended so nicely into the Laver Cup captain role?
It doesn't shock me at all. I've known Andre since I think we were 11 or 12 years old. One of my closest friends. I think what people don't realize is even though Andre's been away from the game for a couple of years, his passion has never wavered, right? He loves the sport. He's the guy that's always giving. You can pick up the phone anytime and talk shop with him on almost any player. It's funny, you almost before he kind of came back into the game over the last 12 to 18 months, he was almost just kind of lurking in the weeds, right? Like you didn't maybe see him out, face fronting, but he was watching a lot of tennis. He loves the game. He sees the game, right? I mean, we all remember what type of player he was. He sees the game extremely well. Andre's one of the most loyal people I've ever met, so didn't surprise me at all in the post-match
Yeah.
victory speech, just saying, "Hey, you guys are my brothers. If you
Hmm.
ever need anything, call." I think anyone that knows Andre well knows that, he's one of the most loyal, kind, generous people out there. And to me, it was awesome, right? I mean, anytime we
Yeah.
have Andre Agassi involved in the sport, I mean, look at how, I mean, the energy he was showing. I was a little bit surprised how much energy. I mean, the fitness is there. He was jumping up, giving high fives to
Hmm.
Riley. He looked spry.
He did.
Pickleball's working for him.
First thing I thought too is I couldn't believe how high he got up on the big high five with the big man too. But yeah, it's cool he's back involved in the game. You mentioned the analytical side, the story about picking up Boris Becker's tell with how he like wagged his tongue a certain way.
Yeah.
It's one of the best ever. But yeah, I'm glad Yannick Noah is great too. This is good. It's here to stay, and I enjoy it. It's something different. It's something fresh, I think, and it's good to have freshness in tennis.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta hand it to him, right? I think a lot of people were worried once Federer retired, obviously Rafa retiring, Novak getting closer to the end of his career. Obviously the
Hmm.
men have gotten so fortunate with these incredible ambassadors. I mean,
Yeah.
Jannik Sinner wasn't there this year, but between Alcaraz, Sinner, and all the other big stars on the men's side, it makes it so
Hmm.
entertaining. And Laver Cup does a great job of showcasing that talent and that
Hmm.
entertainment. So, kudos to them.
We got more with Mark Knowles here on the Inside in Tennis podcast. We're talking Laver Cup, talking all sorts of tennis here on this episode. Yeah, and the one thing speaking of Federer, as we go back to him, is there rumblings that they could do a Nadal Federer exhibition tour? What kind of numbers would they do? That's actually insane.
Well, I'm just wondering if everyone else feels the same that I feel. Every time I see Federer, he looks better and better. I mean,
Benjamin
I
Button.
get older and get
Yeah,
worse and worse. Every time I see him, he
yeah,
looks better and better,
yeah.
more fit. Just great to see him looking so fit. I've kind of talked to him occasionally over the last 2 years or so. He said everything's great. His body's feeling awesome,
Mm,
spending a lot of time with his kids and family, getting to ski. He said he's truly getting to enjoy life, which he truly deserves. And I'm glad his body
yeah.
is allowing him to.
Uh-huh.
But, I'm sure being back around the tennis, it gets the juices flowing, and I'm
Yeah,
sure he's hitting the ball as clean as ever. So that would be pretty cool, right? A little
yeah.
Federer and Nadal senior tour.
What's interesting too is I saw him watching the Laver Cup with one of his sons, Leo, I think it
Yeah,
was. It looked just like Roger when he was like 16. It was
exactly.
crazy.
Like that picture from when he was a
Yeah,
bald kid in Basel. That's exactly what his son
yeah.
looked like.
Well, I actually thought the point that he made too, and I've heard him talk about this, but he mentioned court speeds. I think that was something I think is, and I know every court's going to be different. There's analytical data, but one of the things, and maybe it's players your era or relatively younger, Mark, but they've said that it's been homogenized a little too much. And I've heard Federer and some of the old guards say we would like to go back to different speeds. I don't know if you have a feeling on that. If they want, essentially, it seems like they want lightning quick hard courts on occasion.
I'm 100% a proponent of that.
Hmm.
Obviously, the years I played, the courts, we used to have some really fast courts,
Yeah.
indoors in Moscow, outdoor hard, and since it used to be lightning, it's back to
Hmm.
being fast. I think the only issue is I'd say probably for about 10 years there when I was still playing, every court was super slow. So
Hmm.
everybody got used to that. And then the new
Hmm.
influx of players just assumed slow.
Hmm.
So all of a sudden we'd have an outlier super fast hard court like a Cincinnati last year, Cincinnati this year. I think an indoor event. Actually, Bercy, like maybe 6, 7 years ago, went super fast the year that Michael Lodred went deep.
Hmm.
And I was there, guys were just panicking. They were like, what is this? This is unplayable. I was like, no, we've got to allow for different styles, right? I mean, I think it also helps everyone's overall
Yeah.
game, right? If you get
Yeah.
stuck just playing one style of tennis based
Yeah.
on court speed, it can be tricky. So it doesn't have to be all the time, but
Yeah.
I do like, I don't think you should have three tournaments in a row and then out of nowhere an outlier where it's lightning and then back to slow. But like if you could just kind of, which I think the US swing does a great job now,
Yeah.
they compare notes on court speed and try to get it to where it's pretty
Yeah.
similar heading into the US Open. The one
Hmm.
outlier was, I think Winston-Salem was a little bit slower than all the other outdoor Masters 1000 hard court events. But, generally, I think they're doing a better job. And yeah, listen, I'm all for it. We have to be careful, right? Because if you remember way back when, you're probably too young, but that's why Wimbledon changed their court speed. They
Yeah.
said that, oh, too many big serves, the Philippoussis, the Ivaniseviches, this is boring. And
You're
now all of
right.
a sudden we have to beg people to come forward other
That's
than
true.
shaking hands. So,
Yeah.
I think it has to be a fine balance. We don't want to lose the art of volleying, right? It's such a
Mhm.
it can be such an artistic part of the game.
I watched the long highlight not too long ago of Sampras Ivanisevic a Wimbledon final, and it was I was like, "Is this the same sport? What's going on?" I don't think I saw a rally in 15 minutes longer than like 5 shots.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah,
My take on that whole
yeah,
thing is that if you gave Sampras, Philippoussis, Ivanisevic, you gave them a basketball, they could still serve huge, right?
hmm
Excellent service motions, great service. What it unfortunately did was it affected kind of the middle player. Like if you think
right,
back, like maybe a guy like Tim Henman, who's the vice captain, right? A guy who didn't have a huge serve. He had a good serve. He had great volleys, but all of a sudden, when they slowed down the court so much, he
yeah,
couldn't serve and volley ever.
right,
He had to kind of
hmm
refigure his game. Like
yeah,
I'm gonna have to maybe come in +1 or in the second shot.
yeah.
It's always an interesting dynamic, but I always find that the big servers are going to always serve big regardless of conditions. It's that kind of intermediate transition game that gets lost if it gets too slow.
I heard a story about Pete, and maybe you can verify this. He can 360 dunk a basketball in his heyday.
I would I would confirm that. I would say
Yeah,
I never saw it, but I,
like
I did play
athlete.
basketball with him. He could
Yeah,
he could cleanly dunk as
yeah,
a what was he about 6'2" maybe?
yeah.
And he
Get
could
up
get up
there.
there pretty solid. I think we
Okay.
we all remember those jump overheads. He
Yeah.
was he was an extraordinary
He
athlete.
was. He was. Just had to highlight that. Yeah, definitely more athletic than you might think.
Yeah.
Other tennis notes here, Mark, to kind of just recap what's going on in the world of tennis is Iga Swiatek wins the title in Seoul. She defeats Alexandrova in a hard-fought match. Iga was cruising all the way along through the tournament, and then Alexandrova made her dig deep rally in that one. It was a hard-fought win, but for Iga, it's another title and another match on her goal for getting back to number one, which is in clear play. There won't be Sabalenka in Beijing. So we talk about motivation this time of year. Iga certainly has it.
Yeah, I mean it's great. I mean you'd have to say a bounce back season really for Ego, which is you have to say that cautiously. It's not like she ever
Yeah.
struggled, but the bar was so high. But obviously the big win at Wimbledon, massive. I think she's going to have a good shot in the fall. That was a pretty nice win. Alexandrova is a tough opponent because she's somebody who can end points
Yeah.
early in the rally, which Iga sometimes doesn't like. But heading into Beijing and Wuhan, the conditions are relatively slow, so. I think they kind of favor Iga, especially with no Sabalenka this week in Beijing. She's got a good shot. So it could be a very interesting race for number one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun and fascinating. Iga winning Wimbledon, reinventing her game is it's going to be one to watch. On the men's side, a couple players to mention who won titles. Literally this morning, as we record on this Tuesday, Alexander Bublik wins again. Now he beats Valentin Royer in the final two tie breaks, but I want to get to Bublik for a second here, Mark, because the guy's consistent now. Like he's just playing sometimes even boring tennis. Like it's insane.
That's an adjective we would have never used and never thought we would ever use in the future to describe Alexander Bublik. I mean, just nothing but hats. You talk about hats off to Alexander Bublik. I mean, he was, a flashy, inconsistent, no strategy player for so long, brilliantly talented, but you could normally count on him in the big moments to kind of, hit the wrong shot, make the wrong decisions, and now his results are, like you said, every week he's just, cashing checks. I mean,
Yeah.
he's playing so well, and it's really great to see. Honestly, I'd have to say, if I was frank, I'm a little bit surprised. I didn't see that coming. So, full credit to Alexander Bublik. I mean, what a career he's now really starting to put together.
I think scientists are going to be studying that Vegas trip that he made to reset.
Yeah,
Like it's going to be one for the researchers generations ahead from now.
yeah,
Mark, he's still alive for the race. Like I was looking at the numbers today. He's 12th right now in the race to Turin. Draper's ahead of him. He won't be playing. He's out for the year. Novak Djokovic, who knows what his schedule is going to play Shanghai, but so that puts him a couple hundred points behind Felix right now. Shout out Felix, by the way, just got married, so hopefully he had
yeah.
a good weekend. But Bublik has a chance to be in the ATP finals.
I mean, listen, you'd like maybe his chances. I mean, heading
Yeah.
into Asia, playing well, and then going into Europe. I mean, his game indoors
hmm
is going to be really good. I mean, with confidence, the way he's playing. So he's got a legitimate shot to be in Turin.
And also for the finalists too, Valentin Royer, like this was his first year on tour. I mean, he's up to into the top 90 now. I know he didn't win the title, but this has been a breakthrough year for the 24-year-old Frenchman who now, and you know this more than anyone, getting that top 90, getting in the auto slams, not having to qualify there. It's been a breakthrough year for him, and I would like to see him keep it going.
Yeah, he's brilliantly talented, which is something you normally say about French players. I mean,
Yeah,
they just absolutely bleed
yeah,
talent. But yeah, he's got a bright future, right? I mean, the way
yeah.
he hits the ball, exceptional. And there's room to be the
Hmm.
alpha in French tennis right now,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's a bit of a transition, still deep with talent, but
Hmm.
nobody really at the top. Unfortunately, Arthur Fils dealing with that back injury, but
Yeah.
it's a chance to move up the rankings and kind of establish yourself as the one to beat.
And you bring up fees. It's a point I wanted to raise at some point. I'm glad you gave me the opportunity. I don't know how you feel, but it seems maybe a little worrisome from the outside that younger players are having these injuries. Do you see this as a trend, or am I just over worrying here?
The biggest problem, right, is, he's a young player. We say this so often, right? You have to be careful
Hmm.
of the people that you're surrounded by, right? And the intel I've gotten on it was, he should have shut the injury down a lot sooner, was advised by certain people to keep playing, and, unfortunately it turned into a major issue. And that's always difficult, right? I
Hmm.
mean, we can predict many things. We can see the way people hit the ball, the way their mentality is, but the best ability is availability. And once the health starts to go sideways, it can affect a lot of things, especially if you're out for a long time,
Yeah.
your confidence and it's unfortunate because he was really at a stage where if he stayed healthy, he's probably in Turin, probably top 10. He's, maybe who knows how he could have done
Hmm.
at the US Open. He's right on the cusp of becoming a big
Hmm.
time player, which he's still got plenty of time to
Yeah.
do. But as I said, it gets worrisome when you start having a major injury, especially when you start talking about the back. A guy who's such a physical player, he's a physical specimen. But once the body starts to break down, then question marks arise.
Yeah, he has the special ingredients from what we've seen too. He's fought and won. He beat Zverev in that Hamburg final. That was a little testy. He's a competitor too, so I just want to see him back. He should be in the mix if he's healthy. So we wish him the best. The other winner, so you had Bublik win in Hangzhou, but in Chengdu it was Alejandro Tabilo, who had 5 wins all year. Mark had to qualify for this tournament. Just goes through the draw, beats Musetti, the top 15 guy in the final, and he wins the title. It's an improbable event and one that maybe could be the spark that lights a fuse under Tabilo going forward.
Yeah, it's great to see him back, right? He was a guy who was ascending up the rankings, 18, 24 months ago, then struggled a little bit, had some injuries. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you get some injuries and all of a sudden you get a couple of losses. And before you know it, you're grinding down at
Hmm.
90, 100 in the world and realizing, wow, there's a lot of good players out here, checking your motivation. But I think it also highlights the other good side about tennis, right? We talk so much about the brutality of tennis, tough losses, losing big finals or whatever. But this is a prime example, right? You just keep hanging in there. You mentioned how many? 5 wins on the year.
Yeah,
Like, he's got
yeah,
no reason to have any confidence playing qualies, but ultimately knowing that he's a good enough player to
yeah.
win the tournament. But executing is a whole different ballgame. But to
Hmm.
beat Musetti in the final, it's a cliche we always say, right? Like the bad thing about tennis is that there's always next week
Yeah,
when you want to maybe after you've won a title and you want to take a month or 2 months off. The
yeah,
good news is there's always next week when you're struggling.
yeah,
And for Tabilo, that next week just happened, right? Now
yeah.
he's got another title. He's confident and he's rolling. He's back.
That's I think back-to-back final losses for Musetti in this tournament. So he's a little snake bitten here, like a little Buffalo Bills action or something. No, it's we'll see. I mean, I'm optimistic because you said the results have been there. Like Tabilo has proven he could get to the top 30. He was in the Laver Cup, I think, last year. So I wish him the best too. It's exciting to see the motivation here. And yeah, it gears up for back-to-back thousands on the women's side coming up, which is a little interesting this time of year. But Beijing and Wuhan, a lot of ranking points, Mark, a lot of opportunity, prize money, obviously, but it's a busy and profitable time of the year for the players. So that's why we're seeing, a lot of action and a lot of big names still going.
Yeah, I mean it's a very exciting race, right? I mean you've got a couple of players that have clinched, obviously, but then it's pretty jumbled. I think 5 through 8 between Andreeva, Anisimova, Pegula, Paolini, Rabakina. I mean it's going to be a super exciting finish, and as you mentioned, back-to-back thousands, lots of opportunity out there. Irina not playing this week, which also helps, but. It's going to be really interesting to see how it shakes out. Obviously, Coco kind of dominated the fall last year. There's some question marks, obviously, after the summer that she had a bit of a coaching change
Hmm.
and focusing on the serve and so forth. It'll be interesting to see how she comes out, how she plays the fall, as far as, obviously she's one of those players too that kind of grades her year on majors, having won
Hmm.
the French this year. So it's a
Yeah.
successful year, even though she's had, some ups and downs and a bit of coaching turmoil. But I think it's going to be super exciting.
Hmm.
It's always challenging when you're in Asia for a long time. It's a long season, end of the year. This is when players have to be really mentally resilient, have to be strong.
Yeah, it's looking at the point total too. It looks like Rybakina has a slight edge on Paolini, but a big result can change everything. So many opportunities, so many chances here. And yeah, Paolini, if she catches, I mean, she just won another Billie Jean King Cup, put the team on her back and beat the Americans. It was tough as an American fan to watch, but the Italians just finding a way. They've got a lockstep doubles team. And as underdogs, get the job done and defend their Billie Jean King Cup title.
I mean, I'm not sure if everyone's aware, but in the first match, they were so down against China. Cochereto was
Yeah,
down a
yeah,
set in 5-2, I believe.
yeah.
And then Paulini was down a set and 4-2, and then 4-2 in the third. I mean, it was obviously destiny. I mean,
Yeah,
as a fan, you're like, wait, is everything destined for Italian tennis right now? Because they're
seems
winning
like it.
everything. But
Yeah.
just incredible, really. Paolini was down against Fidolina in the semifinals, and then they're able to win both matches in straights in the final. And as you said, they have the confidence of having that great doubles team in their pocket if they need it.
Hmm.
Just remarkable. I mean, incredible. Unfortunate for the U.S., of course, for Pegula and Navarro.
Hmm.
They obviously felt they had a chance to win there in the final, but once again, you got to give it to the Italians.
You do. And I agree with Jesse saying, their time will come. Obviously, we love Captain Lindsay Davenport. U.S. women's tennis is just so deep right now. Like, it's scary. I was
Well, I
looking
mean,
at
I
the,
think
yeah,
also, yeah, we also
yeah,
need to be a little bit fair that,
yeah.
I think the U.S. women's tennis is in a great
Uh,
spot, but
uh-huh,
the top three U.S. American didn't play.
uh-huh,
So not that it would have been different, but like
right.
it is fair to say, Amanda wasn't there,
Yeah,
Coco wasn't there, Madison wasn't there.
yeah,
Still had an
yeah,
unbelievable team, obviously with Jess and Emma, and obviously Taylor Townsend as well.
yeah.
And also even the other girls. You have McCartney Kessler's been having a terrific year. Taylor Townsend's been incredible. So
Mhm,
you had a great Haley Baptiste was there as well, very
yeah,
talented. So I mean, hey, it's a good place to be. There's a
yeah.
lot of choices for Team USA for Lindsay Davenport.
The doubles side too matters, which we've seen. We said it in the Laver Cup, like having a good doubles team is a weapon, these team competitions. So the men will be in Tokyo coming up. That'll be fun. And yeah, the last thing I had, Mark, for you, this has been great here on the Inside in Tennis podcast, is Djokovic will be playing Shanghai. So we're going to see Novak in Shanghai. I don't know if it's a shock. I don't know if it's, sponsor situation or whatever, but he's back on the court. He's playing. Any thoughts on what we might see from Novak, who did, despite not playing much, made all four Slam semifinals this year at age 38?
Well, I think Novak's been pretty apparent and transparent with his schedule,
Yeah.
right? I mean, he's severely focused on the majors, right? Trying to get number 25. Obviously, I think it's a sponsorship element, which is great.
Hmm.
Shanghai's fortunate. We're fortunate. Anytime we can watch Novak play, we want to watch him play. I wouldn't expect too much. Obviously his third gear is still better than most.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see him shift into fifth or sixth gear.
Yeah, I mean, would you say that this is probably it for him in 2025? It's all speculation, but this will be the last event you think he plays?
You know what? Novak's a hard guy to speculate on,
I
right?
know.
I
I don't
mean,
want to
like,
offend anybody, but
yeah, I
I'm
mean,
shocked he's here. I'm glad he's here, but I'm just a little
exactly. I
surprised he's
don't
here.
think any mere mortal could still find motivation to
Right.
play, but he does, and thankfully for us, we get to see him play. We want to see the all-time greats play forever, and he's testing Father Time, which we love. No one's defeated it ever, but he's coming close. He's in a battle with it. So I think it's awesome. I mean, it's hard to predict from what I've heard. I mean, listen, Novak's going to play in 26 and maybe even 27. I mean, he hasn't. From what I'm hearing, there are no thoughts of shutting things down.
Hmm.
So obviously, he still enjoys the challenge. He obviously still believes in himself. I'm sure he likes when all the experts say, he can't beat the Alcarazes and Sinners anymore in a big match, 3 out of 5. I'm sure he wants to continue to challenge himself. And that's why he's, arguably the greatest player of all time. He's achieved everything. He's won everything.
Mhm.
He finds a way to motivate himself, and the sport is better for
2028 LA Olympics. He said maybe I can play in it. I don't know. That'd be.
it.
And this is.
And maybe he's trying to do like a LeBron thing. Wants to stay in there long enough so his son they can play the Olympics in like, I don't know, 2035 or
Yeah,
something.
crazy that his son's closer in age to Alcaraz than he is. But yeah, it's we'll see. We wish him the best too because we just love seeing him play. Mark Knowles,
Yeah.
this has been a blast. Always appreciate you coming on the Inside in Tennis podcast. And yeah, I guess enjoy. What is it? Winston Salem got a little Wake Forest action this
Yeah,
week for
Georgia
the
Tech at
Jackets.
Wake
The
Forest. Yeah,
ranked
so
Georgia Tech.
ranked
Yeah,
ahead of Alabama, by the way. How do you
yeah.
like that? Huh?
I like it. I mean, personally, but no, it's been fun, obviously, with you being a football dad with a very talented high school son and then a son at Georgia Tech. It's got to be an exciting time football season watching your boys play on.
Yeah, fall is always a great time. We got great tennis and we got football.
Mark Knowles, blast as always. Appreciate you taking the time. Best of luck with Jessica Pegula and calling matches on Tennis Channel. We appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks, Mitch. Thanks for having me back, buddy.
That was Mark Knowles. This was the Inside in Tennis podcast. As always, you can find it on all of your podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, you name it. And go to the YouTube page at Mitch Michals for full video episodes as well. Back with a new episode in a couple days. You're not going to want to miss that. So we're going to keep going as long as tennis season is around. For Mark Knowles, I'm Mitch Michals. This was the Inside in Tennis podcast. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.